You ever watch someone try to bully the wrong guy? Well, that's exactly what just went down. Democrat Representative Sheffield came in hot, trying to twist Doug Collins into knots with yes or no trap questions, but Collins wasn't having any of it. He refused to get bullied, he stood firm, and he threw down facts instead of playing these political games. Watch closely because this exchange says a lot about how Democrats handle real issues when the spotlight hits. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Hit like, subscribe, and let's dive in.
Senator Sheffield McCormick, you're recognized for 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary, for being here today. I have a few questions for you. Would you agree that housing is an important priority for our veterans?
In generalization question, I mean, is housing important for anyone? I mean, I
That was a
apologize,
question
I'm
for
not
you.
sure what.
Do you
what you're looking
prioritize
for.
veterans' benefits when it comes to housing? Making sure that our
I
veterans have
prioritize all the
housing?
benefits that our veterans earn.
No, specifically, it's yes or no then. We can just do yes or no.
Well, if I will do that if it actually answers the question.
Is it a
but
yes or a no, sir?
For what?
Do you prioritize veterans' housing?
I prioritize all
Yes or
veterans'
no?
benefits.
Yes or no, please.
Yes or no to what?
I
I mean, we can play this game back and forth. Our
Secretary
veteran-
Collins, I'm not interested in that. I'm really getting.
It
to
seems you
other-
are.
Secretary Collins, I am not interested in that. We have real concerns, especially in the state with our veterans. So could you please answer it yes or no? If you choose not to answer, just say you choose not to answer, and it's not important.
Do we
to you.
prioritize housing for veterans? Yes. We also prioritize
Thank you.
health care and
Thank you.
everything
So
else.
do you prioritize and fully commit to housing veterans, especially when it comes to flexible assistance to homeless veterans?
I'll fully commit to helping the veterans in any way we can through the programs we currently have, but I refuse to get the VA involved in something like VAS that we should have never been involved with to start with.
Excuse me, could you please answer my question because we are not talking about VAS. Once again, the question is, if you would like to listen to the question, is do you support providing flexible assistance to our homeless veterans, like access to transportation, hygiene products, blanket support to help our veterans?
The answer is we
Yes or
support
no,
our
sir?
veterans.
Yes or no?
I mean,
Thank you.
yes. But the
Thank
question,
you.
I have a
Do you
question.
believe-
Where are we not?
Do you believe that access to lands owned by VA should be in part used to address veterans' homelessness? That's yes or no?
If the land is suitable,
That's
It
a
can-
yes
it
or
can
no?
be used.
Yes or no?
I can't give you an answer to a question that has a hypothetical that cannot be answered.
It's a yes or no?
No, it is not.
It is, okay, so we're
Mr.
not.
Chairman, I mean, I
Excuse
cannot
me,
answer a
it's my
hypothetical.
time, sir. It's my time. You don't need to look at the chairman. I'm right here, and it's my time.
I know exactly where you are
Okay,
because I
thank
can't
you.
answer your question.
The respect that I'm giving you, I deserve it also.
I'll get
So
it.
please answer those questions as yes or no, because you're taking up my time with this. So the next question I have for you, now there's so many veterans who are losing their homes, especially in Florida, and we're finding more of them becoming homeless. So my real concern is about the Elizabeth Dole Act. We have a clause in there that actually deals with that, and you have not been implementing it. So that's why I want to identify if this is actually important to you or if it's a priority, because my veterans do want to know if this is one of your priorities.
Yes, it is a priority. Anything in the Dole Act we will implement.
So why have you not taken it to implement it in these stances?
Because the Dole Act was given at the end of last administration. It came in, and I've been in here over 4 months. There are 72 total provisions in the Dole Act. We've completed 9. We're working on track with 55. We got 2 that we're still at risk, and we're still working. So we're doing everything we can.
So if
under the
housing
time
was
frame.
in fact a priority for you, wouldn't you skim it to find out which priorities or how can you actually make housing accessible? Because my question is, we looked at and we saw that there was a significant gains were made towards homelessness from January of 2023 to 2024. Right now, we're seeing that there's a potential for us to lose the momentum that we've been gaining. And in addition to that, when we talk about the service purchase program, which you said that you would like to terminate or you're terminating, we want to know what are the other instances, or what do you have in place for our homeless veterans to protect them?
The issue in termination of ASP is that we are looking to do everything we possibly can that is already currently there for veterans in the VA for assistance, whether it be their mortgage or other things. We also can work with other agencies such as HUD and others to find ways to help them as we go forward. I'm willing to look and move forward anything we can without sacrificing also the bigger picture. I'm not, unfortunately, able to just simply pick the areas, especially in a Dole Act, where I want them to get all of it implemented for all of the caregivers as we go forward. And I think Donald Trump, just a few, and with Congressman Pappas as well, that EO also talked about using facilities, the VA, which has been ignored and frankly under previous administrations was allowed land that we had that we could have helped homelessness in LA was actually farmed out to private schools and ball fields. So I'm trying to look at it from a perspective. You and I actually agree probably more than unfortunately this came off, and I apologize for that. We agree on this issue that we need to look at what we can do within the confines of what we have.
And so how quickly do you believe that you'll start prioritizing or putting this in place? Because I have to answer to my veterans also, to make sure that we see them and we understand that housing is so critically important, especially towards their dignity and the contract that we have with our veterans, which is to protect them and make sure they live with dignity.
I agree with you, and I'll be happy to work with you and talk about specific instances, especially Florida. I have Georgia is my home. I don't get there very often anymore, but it's a very similar situation for us on housing cost and housing quality. Any of those information within the Dole Act, we're going to continue to implement. And if there's ways that we can help expand something we currently already have, I'm willing to look at that as well. But I think this is just where we need to make sure that we're doing stuff that help and doesn't either have a negative impact some other place with other programs.
And so my last question is going to be really quick, even though it's a huge issue. It's about the dismantling of the Office of Equity Assurance. We just had a roundtable where we had many of our minority veterans there who talked about the disparities and them actually drawing down their benefits, specifically when it comes to PTSD. How are you going to handle these situations, specifically when that office has been dismantled?
That office, again, being dismantled has nothing to do with the fact of my commitment to make sure any veteran who's earned a benefit gets their benefit, no matter what their background, what their skin color, or anything
Specifically, the
else.
disparities I wanted to point to. How are you going to handle the disparities? Because we have years and years of documentation, especially when it came to housing, where we saw different generations that were disadvantaged. How are you going to do that specifically when this office has actually been dismantled?
I think it's when you're actually supposed to be doing your job, it takes a secretary to lead and make sure that our organizations are not doing anything away from that.
Will you be handling that? Because you said it takes a secretary.
It takes a secretary to give leadership to the organizations that are supposed to be approving our benefits. Congressman, if you have somebody who's been discriminated against or not getting the benefits that they've earned, then I'll be happy to work with you to make sure that's rectified. But that's something against the law that we're not going to break law. We're going to actually give the benefits that they've earned.
Okay, so specifically, should they contact your office then? Because this office has been dismantled. Who should they reach out to?
Well, the question is not the office that was not a part of the benefits that they weren't getting. Why are they not contacting the office of the benefits in which they were denied?
Excuse me, sir. The question specifically is who should they contact?
Which benefit are they looking for? If they should call VBA, which is the benefits, that would be the area to call. If it's a,
so there's not going to be, the elimination now is going to be shifted to different offices. Thank you. I yield back.
What you just watched was classic leftist theater. Representative Sheffield was determined to corner Doug Collins, trying desperately to turn a serious discussion about veteran housing into a gotcha game, right? But Collins refused to be a puppet in this political charade. He cut through the nonsense and repeatedly made it clear that he's committed to veterans. We knew that in advance, while Sheffield kept pressing for meaningless yes or no answers to really complex issues. It's exactly this kind of manipulation that Americans are sick and tired of. Democrats love framing questions to force simple answers to complicated problems, hoping to score some quick political points or headlines instead of actually addressing the issues. And Collins wasn't taking the bait because he knows that our veterans deserve better than political posturing. And let's talk about facts. Collins laid it out plainly. The VA has been actively working to implement the Elizabeth Dole Act, with significant progress already made. Sheffield pretended that Collins wasn't doing enough and conveniently ignored the reality of ongoing current efforts and the challenges that go along with that. And instead of acknowledging the real measurable progress, she spun it as neglect. And this is part of a disturbing pattern we see again and again. Democrats don't want solutions. They want soundbites. They thrive on this outrage and division, not actual progress. Collins made it crystal clear that veteran homelessness and proper care aren't just political talking points. They're real priorities he and a lot of others are actively taking on. But the Democrat didn't stop there. Sheffield brought up the dismantling of the Office of Equity Assurance, trying once again to paint Collins as neglectful or even racist and discriminatory. And he calmly responded with facts. Every veteran deserves and will get the benefits they've earned, regardless of skin color or background. And Collins stood firm by the principle that veterans care, it's non-negotiable. period. Sheffield's repeated attempts to bully Collins were just completely transparent. They were transparent attempts to mislead the public, people who are not paying attention, and to demonize someone working hard to improve our veteran services. But Collins didn't back down. He didn't let this Democrat twist his words or misrepresent his intentions. This wasn't just about policy. It was about integrity. And here's the bottom line. Doug Collins stood up for veterans, stood up to the manipulation, and stood firm against political bullying. Democrats like Sheffield might continue to spin. They always will. They'll mislead, they'll attack, but we see through their games. And if you're done with these political stunts and want representatives who stand strong for what's right, especially for those who've served our nation, then follow us. Join us. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share this video. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com, and we're here to bring you the truth, no matter how much the left tries to hide it.